We now call on our Honorable Premier, Honorable Andrew A. Fahie, to please come and deliver remarks.
I recognize the protocol already established, and I say a wonderful, God-filled day to everyone present and listening via other medias. Good day. This is an exciting day, and your greetings to me did not sound that way. Good day. I want you to turn to your neighbor on your right and say, neighbor, I'm excited. That doesn't sound like you're excited. So since that neighbor on the right is not excited, turn to your neighbor on the left and say, neighbor, I'm excited. That's what I'm talking about. I know some listening will not be able to see you saying it, but those in the media say, turn to your neighbor and where you are and say online that you're excited. And why are we excited? I want you to turn to your neighbor and say, I'm excited because I am committing to God not to allow me to leave this earth until I finish the God-given purpose He placed me on earth to fulfill. I want you to understand that and say amen. Why do we speak to the atmosphere? Because God obeys what you put in the atmosphere. And today at this auspicious event, we take time out to celebrate the life of an auspicious man. More so, we take time to celebrate our awesome God. Whenever this day comes around, I get excited. And you can tell by my voice. Ask me why I'm excited. I'm glad that you asked. I get excited during this time because we are reminded once again about our God who gives each of us visions and by extension our purpose. I get excited because we are once again reminded, and for the younger generation, educated about a man, Hamilton Lavity Stoutt, who at 28 years young entered politics and who persevered against the odds. I get excited because we take time to remember a man who caught the vision God had for him and ran with it to fulfill his God-given purpose for existing. Can I tell all of you that are listening that it is only when we accept God's purpose for our lives is when we stop living like victims and start living like victors. The late but great Hamilton Lavity Stoutt had a humble beginning. He believed in Abba, our Father, and His Word. So much so that he was known to always verbally magnify the scripture that says, where there's no vision, the people perish. Hence, Honorable Stoutt cherished the visions God gave him for the people of the Virgin Islands and by extension the Virgin Islands overall. However, may I remind you that God has given many persons visions. Can I tell you that out of fear, they never move forward to allow them to manifest? Hence, the people either perished or continue to perish. May I educate you that while it is true that where there's no vision, the people perish, it is even more profound and accurate to inform you that Bishop John Ivan Klein is correct when he said a few years ago that where there's a vision and you do not move, then the people still perish. Hamilton Lavity Stoutt understood this, and also history will recall that he not only had the vision but acted on them so that the people would not perish, but be prepared to take up the baton and continue the journey for this season. He did what he had to do in his season. Now it's ours. Hamilton Lavity Stoutt did not let the naysayers nor the negativity from them stop the vision God gave him. As a matter of fact, when he was approached by supporters and others who would say to him that the issues that he's doing and the method that he's using, that the people are against his program and leadership, and that they're insurmountable with the many negative feedback from the people, also because they're against his programs and his leadership. H.L. Stoutt would always respond by saying that 7 people saying the same thing 7 times a day does not make them 49. Clearly, he remained laser focused on fulfilling purpose. Hamilton Lavity Stoutt will be remembered as one of our forefathers of modern day politics. His accomplishments were many. And you know that he has done great. Because when you see some who were criticizing him while he's alive, praising him now that he's dead, you know that he fulfilled his mission. Ouch. His accomplishments were many. I can list them out one by one today, but I will focus solely today on H.L. Stoutt Community College. This was one of the many visions God gave him that he ran with, and the rest is history. Prior to this vision becoming a reality, there was an issue where more and more of the people of the BVI could not afford to leave these shores and go to college to further their education. You see, H.L. Stoutt understood something, that the strength of a territory is not in its physical, material stuff, but in the strength of its people and the maturity of their mind. H.L. Stoutt understood that the more educated the people of the BVI became, the stronger the territory would be. He saw this problem in the same light he saw all other problems plaguing his beloved BVI, as a new door of opportunity to be opened. Let the record reflect that H.L. Stoutt had to overcome many obstacles while on the journey to establish a college for his people. You remember them? He understood that once you keep your hearts and hands clean, then victory is sure. He fully understood that you could not have triumph without conflict, and that there's a process to get to the promise. He knew that anything that was easy was not of God, but once the challenges exist and it seemed impossible to most persons, then it is of God. This is how he tested if his vision was truly from God. As I take a walk down memory lane, please join me and let us go down this lane slowly. I can vividly remember, and I know so can you, some of his critics and what they were saying when he decided to build the college. We need to remember these things so that when you start to move with your purpose, you will leave from here today knowing that the greater the obstacle to the purpose God give you, the sweeter the victory for the people, but more so for God. And the critics were saying then and trying to do, let's remember some of them, and if they're not so, then tell me, for you have told us things that are not so. But those of you who are old enough to remember, will remember there were things like, we don't need a college. Fix our secondary schools for us. Fix our infrastructure for us. We cannot afford a college now. A college is not a priority. He is wasting taxpayers' money. He needs to be taken out of office because he has gone stone mother crazy. The UK needs to intervene now and run the country. Those from afar informing that they cannot sanction the government's move to build a college. Studies were done with the outcome organized to prove that we do not have the population to sustain a college. We also heard some say that the land's Periquita Bay was for farming only, and this project of building a college here must be stopped at all costs. Some got groups together in an attempt to stage a protest to lay down in front of the bulldozer to prevent it from leveling the grounds at Paraquita Bay. Let's us not forget, no one will attend the college. It will be of a low standard. The credits will not be transferable. It is a waste of time. He does not have a plan. It is just a dream in his head. If it is to be done, let the UK do it and run it, because the local government cannot do anything well, nor can they be trusted. Let us not forget about the many negative talk about the palm trees that were planted along the driveway of the path leading up to HLSCC campus. All these unjustified and irresponsible statements echoed from the benches of Her Majesty's loyal opposition of the time, with the exception of Honorable Omar Hodge, the people's man. Most persons join in opposing just for opposing sake. My. The more things change, the more they stay the same. These were just some of the many negative criticisms that were daily levied against this vision of building a college to empower his people. If you think bringing purpose to the earth is easy, guess again. Now let us examine what happened as a result of H.L. Stoutt moving forward by getting into position to possess his possession. Now let us examine what happened as a result of H.L. Stoutt remaining laser focused, thereby not allowing the few naysayers to make him abort his purpose. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, never abort your purpose. Generations unborn are waiting on you to fulfill your purpose. I want all those who are here today and listening online to raise your hand who never met H.L. Stoutt but attended the college. The hands are many that have gone up. Generations unborn was waiting for H.L. Stoutt to complete his purpose so that you can fulfill yours. So yes, it is a fact that the college was built. But he did more than just that. He first stayed prayed up. That's the beauty of H.L. Stoutt. He believed in God. You see, this belief in God is a formula that a lot of persons don't understand, but this territory, you have economists can't understand how we make it. You have analysts can't understand how we make it. You have a lot of persons analyzing us can't understand how we make it. We believe in God so much that we sometimes don't have the money to build a house, but we get it built. And if they have to analyze how we did it, they will say something illegal happened. But we learn how to stick together like wet clothes in a rainy weather, as teacher Elmo Stoutt taught me. So he believed in God, because once God in it, little is much when God is in it. He then did the wise thing. He aligned himself with persons who shared the same vision. Persons like his family, especially Peggy and Portia, close to him, and many others. Also, you have the late Eileen Parsons. Sorry. Miss Eileen Parsons. Just checking to see if you're following. Miss P are alive and well, and I take it out the atmosphere. So you also had Miss Eileen Parsons, alive and well and kicking. Mrs. Lana Smith. Elroy Turnbull. No, he's late. The late Omar Hodge. The living Dr. Charles Whitley. His entire family. His entire government members, such as T.B. Letsom, who is the late T.B. Letsom, and others. He had persons like Randolph Moles Malone, Leopold Smith, Donald Pickering, Joseph Skelton, Ormond Fahie. All those now are late. But you have the living Naomi Turnbull. But he also had the support from in the first district with people such as Mr. Salvador Calwood, and the late Angela Smith, the late Benito Calwood, the late Alberto Robinson, Brother Robbie, and many more too numerous to mention. While some are deceased today, I salute their family members who are alive to see that the vision has materialized into an instrument of nation building. In the same vein, I salute those who are still alive that were also part of the vision, because you are able to see how the impossible became possible. Only through God's help, H.L. Stoutt and all these persons work together for one common goal: building the territory through providing an institution to build the people. I have a statement that I say, and I believe that he believed in it then, and he probably paraphrased it back then, that he never allowed the perfect to become the enemy of the greater good. Through H.L. Stoutt, allowing God to walk through him, today we recognize he not only built a college, he built lives. Through this institution, our people were taught how to fish and not just be given a fish. We became educated and not just received an education. And what is the difference, you ask? Because when you get your degree, you got an education. But when you are able to use that degree to help mankind to better their lives, then you have become educated. There's a lot of people get a degree and they cannot do a thing with it to help mankind. Those only have an education. But H.L. Stoutt built a college that not only allowed to give you certificates and degrees, it allowed you to be able to be educated. Today, per capita, we have more persons with technical certificates and qualifications because of HLSCC. Right there, needed applause. Take it for granted. We get too casual when we become a customer of the success that we put it aside and say, well, all right, what's next? But we have to celebrate our steps as a territory when we move forward. Through him building the college, we have more persons who now have associates from HLSCC. Through him, we have more persons now who were able to get bachelors via HLSCC. Through him, we have more persons who will be able to have masters through HLSCC. And also move on to have doctorates as a result of HLSCC. As a matter of fact, from the associate straight up to doctorate, because of a vision of a man who Dr. Georges, who is now the president, have never seen in terms of major interactions, have gone to HLSCC, and he's right back here, and he can stand and come out because you're under the tent so they could see you, the children can see you. Got his associates, go that way. Got his associates, thank you so, sorry for directing our president. Got his associates from HLSCC, and today he has his doctorate and running HLSCC. That's the power of having a vision beyond your lifespan. So the fruits of your labor will continue to echo down through the corridors of time. I'm so excited about this because through H.L. Stoutt, we have more persons now with more degrees than a thermometer. Through HLSCC. As a matter of fact, I want everyone here who either taught at HLSCC, went to HLSCC, got a certificate, associate, or some kind of training or some kind of seminar that went through HLSCC, please raise your hand. Those who are watching can't see, but it's nearly close to about 80% of the person have raised their hands. That's what the late Robert Lester Marley meant when he said, you come for tired for see me face, and you can't get me out of the race. That's what he meant by saying, emancipate yourself from mental slavery, because no other one will do it for you but yourself. You see, H.L. Stout understood that the most powerful part of your body is your mind. So I get excited during these times because he also built an economy. You see, when you build people and they can feed their family and get good jobs, you build an economy. He built an economy so much that our people later on were so equipped that we were able to band together and fight COVID-19 to the point where we have 0 confirmed cases in the BVI. It didn't just start now. It started because he educated his people to the point where he fulfilled his God-given mission. So he strengthened the economy by building the people. But he created jobs because some of those who received it, that education at HLSCC, also went out and become entrepreneurs. And they built businesses. So really and truly, he saved lives. Because there were a lot of persons who could not afford to leave the BVI to even get an associate. But HLSCC made it possible. God made it possible through H.L. Stout, and H.L. Stout made it possible by being the conduit to allow God to use him to better and empower his people. That's why I get excited during this event every year, because God uses a time to remind us that once he gives you the vision, then he will give you the provision. But he cannot give you the provision if you do not move forward with the vision. What is it in your life that you are placed here to do that you started or did not start, that you have not completed, you have not continued, or you have not started, that God placed you here to do? He cannot help you with your vision and give you provision if you do not move forward with the vision. Case in point, the command that he gave Moses was to go back and free his people. But one of the greatest commands that he gave Moses is when you reach by the Red Sea and the army is at your back and they're coming at you and you have no way forward, make sure that you are positioned to possess your possession. So he had to be in position at the Red Sea so that when the command came, as H.L. Stout would get every night with his pad and write them down as the instructions came. And he said, Moses, use what's in your hand to get your people to the promised land. Raise your rod and the sea will part. But he had to be by the sea. That's the key. You have to be in position to possess your possession. That's what H.L. Stout life reminds us. So I get excited when I think of his life and his obedience to God. We are the generation that God has chosen to go through this season. Make no bones about it. I don't listen to people who tell me things have changed. It must change. Things are not getting better. It will get better. Because God is not interested in changing your situation. He is more concerned about changing you so that you can change your situation. So we saw H.L. Stout turn his pain into purpose. And we must do the same and do not disappoint God in this season. We must turn our sorrows into joy because God wants us to emancipate our minds so that we can change the situation. I want to tell you that this simple formula is what H.L. Stout understood. And in closing, I said to you, he understood that God is with us. Because where God is, there's always liberty and victory. This is a simple formula that a man who did not have a high school degree like they were saying, or a college degree, but he had the strongest degree, King Jesus. And God with you is an army. He understood a simple formula, and he always was mindful of who and what is in the boardroom of your mind. Who controls your mind controls your future, and they will influence your perspective, especially through emotions and misinformation. But once we remain laser focused on God's purpose for our lives, like what H.L. Stout did, and then and only then will we soar to higher heights individually and collectively. However, we must keep moving forward, because this is the only way we can get into position to possess our possession. I put it to you that today, every little child that's here that is wondering, why are you here today? Yes, you came to remember H.L. Stout. But when you leave from here, you have to say, I want to do what H.L. Stout did. I do not subscribe to be H.L. Stout, but I subscribe that you should be like H.L. Stout. Because there's only one H.L. Stout, and there's only one you. And each of you have a specific purpose to complete to make the BVI one of the greatest places in the world. If you do not know what is your purpose, do what H.L. Stout did. Go in prayer and ask the purpose giver, what is my purpose? And when you find it, young ladies, don't let no boy hold you back. Young men, don't let no drugs hold you back. Even if you're 60 years, don't let a number hold you back. Even if you don't have the money, don't let that hold you back, because once God gives you the vision, he will give you the provision. Don't live a life of what if. Had H.L. Stout not moved, many of us would have not had a degree at this time. Many of us would have not had a job up at the college at this time. Many of us would not have been a lecturer. Dr. Georges, who is now over the college, might have never been heard of with this opportunity in his life. Persons are waiting on each of us to do what H.L. Stout did. Get in position to possess your possession so that future generation can fulfill theirs. And once you do that, I know that God can hear me say and agree that I'm 100% sure that your best days as a people of the Virgin Islands and you individually will not be your yesterdays, but rather it will be our tomorrows. That is why I started the speech by the way I end, by asking you to turn to your neighbor on the right and say, neighbor, now I understand. Turn to your neighbor on the left and say, neighbor, now I understand. I have to fulfill my purpose. And from today onward, if I didn't know, now I know. Thank you.